coverage.
Yeah, we have been continually covering Tropical Storm Barry. We're going to go over to Alexandra right now because right now we're seeing some of the conditions seems like they're getting a little bit better in certain areas of the southeast Louisiana.
Yes, and the big thing is no really heavy downpours over southeast Louisiana or even our coastal Mississippi areas. Over toward Harrison and Jackson, there have been some heavier downpours, but in our immediate area around Hancock and Pearl River County and Louisiana, we haven't had any really heavy rain just yet. I wanted to show you, just in case you did miss it, of course, Barry did make landfall, and if you didn't know exactly where that was, it was just south of Abbeville, so actually a little bit farther to the west than many of the projections from yesterday. So that's to be expected. It was certainly in the cone of uncertainty, and now the center of Barry is actually very close to Lafayette. But one thing that's interesting about this storm is that some of the really high wind gusts from it are not at the center. So we've been kind of saying that for a while, and it looks like even outside of the center, we may still be dealing with some of these stronger winds through tonight and possibly even along our Louisiana coast through early tomorrow. So we are waiting until kind of the beginning of tomorrow to see the remainder of the effects. And then things, it looks like, will be improving by tomorrow night. I was talking to my sister earlier and she said, this thing is moving so slow. I feel like it moved backward. And if you look at the track from last night into today, it actually did take this little tiny jog backward. And then the path brought it off to the northwest. As expected, it's now moving to the northwest at 7 miles per hour. So that's up just 1 mile per hour from the last advisory. This is as of 4 p.m. and our pressure risen just 1 millibar. So the changes are happening as a tropical system makes landfall, of course, then moves overland, loses its fuel in the form of the warm water. It eventually weakens, but the weakening has been pretty slight as we headed through today. It did touch hurricane status. Now the winds are back to a strong tropical storm of 65 mile per hour winds, and we are expecting that to continue decreasing. The forecast path is continuing north toward around Alexandria as we head through the overnight hours tonight. Winds will probably be rapidly decreasing at that point to 50 miles per hour or so. And now the National Hurricane Center has it possibly as just a depression or remnant low getting into even tomorrow afternoon. And so, of course, we will be removed from the center, but still possibly dealing with those showers wrapping around it and some rain bands possibly into tomorrow as well. So winds right now are from the south, still continuing at up to about 20 miles per hour. But as Charisse was saying, the sustained winds I've noticed today are a little bit lower than they were even earlier today. Still very high wind gusts for some spots like Houma, 40 miles per hour. But many of these locations around Kenner and the lakefront, just in the past half hour to hour or so, these are the highest gusts. We're not seeing them any longer really in the 30 to 40 mile per hour range, just with this kind of scan of what we've seen. We have had some high wind gusts, though. Duloc registered 66 mile per hour gusts. Other spots from Houma to the Causeway, across Lake Pontchartrain and Mandeville and Kenner, all within about 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts. And remember, a severe thunderstorm would need to produce 58 mile per hour wind gusts or higher. That's kind of the damaging wind gust sort of frame or criteria to prompt a severe thunderstorm warning. So we have seen some of those higher gusts. Looking at the wind speed and direction as we head through tonight, this is tonight with the sustained winds. The yellow numbers indicate what gusts could be up to, and then you can also see the wind direction, mainly from the south through tonight. Through tomorrow, our winds continuing to lessen a bit, and then through tomorrow night and afternoon, things getting a little bit back to normal as far as our winds not quite so strong. And we will probably have rain still, but it just depends on where the heavy rain is. Thankfully, again, we're just dealing with light to moderate showers really across most of our area. You may hear it pick up a little bit here and there, but some of this heavier rain is staying actually with this particular band, especially just south of the center of Barry. So we will see whether this continues to move to the north and wrap around Barry, whether we do see a couple of bands setting up a little bit farther to the east, because we have seen that earlier today. So we will kind of have to track that. But for now, things again are not too bad at the moment, and heading into this evening, we do have light to moderate showers north and south of the lake. Just around Grand Isle, there is a small downpour there that will be moving to the north, so that's the heaviest that I'm seeing right now. Still light rain going on in New Orleans through New Orleans east. All of our West Bank locations indicating the same story, and over toward Kenner and Metairie and Laplace, same thing. And actually some of our North Shore spots we've been saying around Washington Parish and some of our Mississippi coastal areas and parts of the St. St. Tammany Parish locations, not really seeing much rain at all, having some breaks during the course of the day today. There is still a flash flood warning in effect until 5:15 for Harrison and Jackson counties, but look what's happened with that really heavy band. It kind of just moved on through and now is not bringing heavy rain there. Over toward Mobile, there is still a flash flood warning there as well because a rain band set up that far from the center of Barre. And we were saying that yesterday, that sometimes it's way away from the center where you may have one of these very heavy feeder bands. It just depends on whether it's over Harrison County or Mobile or maybe even extreme southeast Louisiana, but we're keeping it really that big band to the east of us and some of the heaviest rain over to the west of us. So moving through Precision Cast, this is our high resolution model. By 7 p.m., it has a bit of a break for us. So we will see if this does happen heading into this evening, but we are seeing our rain, of course, pretty light at this point. 10 p.m., there is still the possibility of some of these heavier downpours. So certainly do not let your guard down just yet. As we say, we are still looking at the potential for some of these pockets of very heavy rain to set up. But at this point, we've registered up to about 1, close to 2 inches from yesterday and today, kind of on the higher ends so far, and many of us much less than that. Looking at the Euro model, just kind of seeing what it has for us heading into tomorrow evening. Again, this is the one that's been going lighter on the rain amount, so it kind of keeps it just outside of the area. The center of Barre by Monday evening may be somewhere over toward the Arc-La-Tex, and that would be good if it were closer to the Arc-La-Tex than the Arc-La-Miss. I've actually worked in both those different areas as a meteorologist earlier in my career, but in any case, if it were a little bit farther over to the northwest, that would be good, displacing maybe some of the rain over to the west and outside of our area just a little bit more, and then that will take us all the way through Tuesday, and we'll be getting back into high pressure building over us, more heat, more humidity, and more very typical summer weather toward the end of the week. So officially, here's what we have for the Barre impact. Still seeing the surge ongoing now, although we're anticipating it to ease heading into tomorrow, especially late in the day. Still some high wind gusts possible. Still a chance for some of those tornadoes, but we just haven't seen it. We had a couple of warnings late last night around 1:30 and 2 a.m. for Plaquemines and St. Bernard, and eventually over into New Orleans East. But that's really the only tornado warning action that we've seen. So thankfully, we've gotten away so far without many warnings, although it will be a possibility. And then our rain amounts could still be up to these amounts that you see here, but could also be less, as we've been saying. So just what to expect from here on out, breaking it down by North Shore and South Shore. Again, possibly some high rain amounts, but it may be less than 6 inches perhaps for some locations. Certainly only a few spots, I think, will get those really high rain amounts. As you look at our winds, still pretty high conditions expected through tonight, but those should be easing during the day tomorrow. So this is still what we're seeing around the West Bank and New Orleans East, and metro area spots. And then along the coast, that's of course where we are still seeing the surge continuing. We will see our winds ease a bit heading into tonight, as I showed you that Precision Cast wind forecast just a little while ago, but not too much change in direction, which is something you need sometimes to get a really drastic improvement with storm surge along the coast. So rain amounts, and this is the model that we've kind of been showing you because we've kind of seen it lining up fairly accurately with what we saw yesterday too, into Sunday night and then into Sunday, well, this is Sunday at 11:30 p.m. that I've brought the model run to. So there still could be some heavy rain amounts. We are still anticipating, especially perhaps south of Barre, if that does move to the north and kind of spreads east enough over our part of southeast Louisiana, we could still get some pretty high rain amounts perhaps, but it does look like some of the heaviest could be over farther to the west of us, like we've been saying, possibly displaced toward Baton Rouge, or maybe even farther west than that potentially. So we will see. Our 7-day forecast tomorrow is our last day, I think, of dealing with really big Barre impacts. In fact, things should be easing during the daytime hours tomorrow. Still windy, but the winds lessening a lot by tomorrow evening and tomorrow night. Still cloudy. Still not that hot. Temperatures only maybe in the low 80s with the cloud cover and rain. And notice the rain chance tomorrow is still there, particularly early in the day, maybe in the first half of the day, with possibly some easing as we head toward the second part of the day. Monday, I think we will still have some showers kind of wrapping into the area. So I have a 50 to 60% rain chance, but we will kind of be transitioning slowly back into our regular summer weather. Tuesday, a few scattered showers and storms, highs close to 90. Certainly got nowhere near that today. And then look at that high pressure. The Bermuda high kind of builds back in Wednesday through the end of the coming week. So we will be right back to our typical summer weather with low 90s. Feels like temperatures likely around 100 or a little bit more than that by the end of the week, and only slight chances for isolated showers and storms.